My journey in Japan took an exciting turn after my unforgettable days in Tokyo. The neon lights and bustling streets of the capital had ignited a flame of adventure within me, and I felt an irresistible pull toward Kyoto and Osaka, two cities steeped in history and culture, each promising a new canvas for my experiences. With a heart full of anxiety and anticipation, I packed my bag for the next leg of my trip, nervously contemplating the adventures that awaited me. As my train sped towards Kyoto, I felt a mix of emotions. The exhilaration of new possibilities intertwined with the apprehension of leaving the familiar behind. Kyoto, the ancient capital, known for its stunning temples, serene gardens, and traditional wooden houses, beckoned to me like an old friend waiting to share secrets long kept. I had read about the iconic Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion, and how its reflective pond creates a picture-perfect scene. All I could imagine was standing before such beauty, feeling the whispers of history around me. But was I ready for this? I thought about the chance to witness the cherry blossoms in bloom, or to lose myself in the silence of a Zen garden. I recalled how, in Tokyo, I encountered a slow and serene tea ceremony that offered a stark contrast to the vibrant chaos of the city. Would I find similar moments of tranquility in Kyoto? The thought both excited and intimidated me. There was something grand about stepping into a place where time seemed to linger, where ancient customs intertwined with everyday life. Arriving in Kyoto, the city wrapped around me like an embrace. The contrast between the modern hustle of Tokyo and the slow, deliberate pace of Kyoto was palpable. I explored the narrow streets lined with tea houses, and as the sun set, I headed to Gion, where I hoped to catch a glimpse of a geisha gliding through the lantern-lit streets. It felt surreal. I was not just observing a culture, but stepping into a living history. While I traversed through the narrow, winding paths, I found myself carrying the weight of expectation. Would I be able to fully appreciate the temples and gardens? Would I feel the same sense of wonder I felt in Tokyo? I stood outside Kinkakuji, the sun reflecting off its golden surface. Was it too cliché or a perfect representation of what Kyoto stood for? I wrestled with these thoughts, feeling like an outsider at times, but also profoundly connected to the essence of a place so rich in culture. As I continued my trek through Kyoto, I devised a plan for Osaka, my next destination, known for its vibrant street life and cuisine. I had heard stories about Dotonbori, where neon lights danced over the canal and street vendors offered tantalizing dishes. Could I endure the whirlwind of energy after the peaceful moments in Kyoto? Perhaps this duality would spark something deep within me, an understanding of balance, of tranquility mixed with chaos. In Osaka, I longed to taste authentic takoyaki and okonomiyaki and feel the pulse of a city that never seemed to sleep. I imagined the thrill of shopping in Shinsekai, where every corner turned could lead to a hidden gem or a face of a stranger, igniting a fleeting conversation. I prepared mentally for the quick pace, knowing that it could be tempting to rush through experiences in the pursuit of adventure. As I arrived in Osaka, the energy greeted me like a shot of espresso. The air tinged with the delicious aromas of street food pulled me toward the food stalls. I tried to capture each moment. The sizzle of meat, the chatter of locals, the laughter that rang out from nearby bars. I experienced a wave of elation mixed with the fear of missing out. Was I savoring these flavors enough? Was I allowing myself to truly dive into the experience? Or was I merely tasting the surface, taking pictures for memory's sake? I visited Osaka Castle and marveled at its elegance, surrounded by cherry blossoms and people joyfully picnicking. I felt a connection to these locals who reveled in everyday pleasures, moments that encouraged me to pause and reflect. In the midst of this adventure, I learned that the search for spontaneity often led me to the most unexpected discoveries within myself. I realized every encounter, every moment of stillness, combined with frenetic energy, shaped my perspective in immeasurable ways. Throughout my travels in Kyoto and Osaka, I found myself grappling with my own narrative. I sought meaning in places, symbols, and interactions, often losing the thread of simple enjoyment amidst the quest for profound experiences. As my journey unfolded, I discovered that being open to spontaneity and embracing the unknown often brought unparalleled excitement, something that, in my quest for discovery, I had almost overlooked. As I retraced my steps back through the streets of both cities, I found a rhythm. Not quite a balance, but a dance between aloofness and engagement, between the profound and the mundane. I realized that every stone I turned, every smile exchanged, and every food vendor I approached was a chapter in my own story of curiosity. Reflecting on my journey, I recognized that it was never just about visiting places. It was also about connecting with people, paying homage to traditions woven into the fabric of society, and allowing the sights and sounds to seep into my being. Kyoto and Osaka had transformed me not just as a traveler, but as a seeker of understanding, as someone willing to embrace both the quiet moments of reflection and the dazzling chaos of life. In the end, as I departed these mystical cities, I carried not only memories but a deeper appreciation for the threads that connect us all. My passage through Kyoto and Osaka taught me that adventures are not merely destinations but rather the embracing of the unknown, the fleeting moments, and the harmonious chaos that exists within and around us. Each experience, tucked into my heart, reminded me that the world is vast and filled with endless adventures waiting just beyond the horizon. When I first arrived in Kyoto, Japan, the air was thick with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. As the plane touched down, I could feel my heart racing in my chest. Exiting the airport, I found myself enveloped in the warm embrace of the Japanese summer, the air fragrant with a hint of cherry blossoms and something I could not quite place. The reality of my journey settled in, and I faced the overwhelming emotions of excitement, fear, and a touch of doubt. Stepping into the city was like entering a living painting, where centuries-old temples stood juxtaposed against modern infrastructure. Glistening pagodas reached towards the sky, and the whispers of history surrounded me. Fear crept in as I realized I was in a place where I didn't speak the language and was completely unfamiliar with the intricacies of the culture. It felt like I had leapt into unknown waters, unsure of what awaited me beneath the surface. The thought of getting lost gnawed at my confidence, but I pushed it aside and took a deep breath. Walking through the streets of Kyoto, I was filled with a surreal sense of euphoria. The bustling markets filled with the aroma of street food beckoned to me, mingling with the sound of laughter and the chatter of locals. I couldn't help but smile as I sampled takoyaki for the first time, the octopus dumpling warm and gooey in my mouth. Every bite was a celebration of flavors, a mix of salty, sweet, and savory that danced on my palate. The joyous atmosphere around me sparked a fire in my soul, urging me to dive deeper into this incredible experience. Yet, with the joy, there lingered a sense of doubt. Would I be able to connect with the people here? Could I navigate through the cultural nuances? These questions circled my thoughts like a swarm of bees, challenging my newfound euphoria. I observed others, their interactions smooth and natural, and I wondered if I would ever feel as comfortable. Despite the thrill of being in a new land, the worry that I might not belong lurked at the edges of my happiness. As I continued to explore, the breathtaking sights began to fuel my inspiration. I wandered through the serene paths of the Arashiyama bamboo grove, the towering stalks swaying gently around me, creating an otherworldly atmosphere. The sunlight filtered through, casting a magical glow that felt like an invitation into a realm often reserved for dreams. In that moment, fear melted away. I realized that even amidst uncertainty, beauty thrived. The doubt that had clung to me began to fade as I marveled at the simple yet profound perfection of nature, a reminder that life's journey is a mix of light and shadow. With each step, I found myself shedding layers of fear, replacing them with a sense of purpose and curiosity. I discovered charming tea houses with tatami mats and warm smiles, where I was welcomed with the traditional serving of matcha. The preparation sparked enchantment within me as I watched the meticulous process unfold, transforming vibrant green tea powder into a frothy delight. Each sip was not only a taste of flavor but also a connection to the rich traditions of the past, a tapestry woven from countless stories and experiences. In the hue of dusk, the golden glow of the Kinkakuji, the golden pavilion, captivated my heart. As I stood in awe before this shimmering structure, the enchanting landscape of carefully tended gardens mirrored my journey, an everlasting blend of beauty complemented by moments of uncertainty. The reflection glittering upon the water reminded me that even in the cold depths of our doubts, we can find reflections of beauty, inspiring us to keep moving forward. As night fell, Kyoto transformed once again. Lanterns illuminated the streets, casting a warm glow that warmed my heart. I joined other travelers heading towards Gion, the famous geisha district, where tradition danced through the streets. I felt a sense of belonging wash over me as I witnessed a Miko gracefully moving through the night, her vibrant kimono swirling around her like a vivid painting in motion. Her poise inspired me, reminding me that every person has a story, one filled with fears and triumphs, much like my own. In the heart of these vibrant experiences, I discovered the value of embracing both fear and joy. I learned that it was okay to feel overwhelmed, to question my place in this captivating land. Within that uncertainty lay the essence of adventure itself. Kyoto, with its intricate tapestry of emotions, was opening a door to a world of possibilities. And in that welcoming moment, I decided to step through, to immerse myself fully in where I was, surrendering to the beauty of the unknown. As I made my way toward Osaka, my heart brimmed with gratitude for the emotional roller coaster of my first days in Kyoto. The journey ahead felt less daunting, and the excitement for new discoveries overshadowed the fleeting fears. I took a moment before boarding, gazing back at the enchanting silhouettes of the temples against the night sky, a promise of more stories to be told, more experiences to be felt. Motivated and inspired, I boarded the train with open arms and an open heart, ready for whatever awaited me next in this extraordinary land. My journey began in the vibrant cities of Kyoto and Osaka, Japan, a realm that felt like a beautiful dream while simultaneously mirroring some of the greatest challenges I had ever faced. As I stepped off the train in Kyoto, my mind was flooded with anticipation, my heartbeat quickening with the whispers of a new adventure. The air was thick with the sweet scent of cherry blossoms, hinting at the season's fleeting beauty. The soft pink petals danced gracefully in the breeze, and I realized how captivating this place was, steeped in serene temples and bustling markets. Walking through the winding streets of Gion, I admired the wooden machiya houses, their facades rich with history, each crack and crevice telling a story of generations past. The first sounds that filled my ears were a blend of gentle laughter and the rhythmic clinking of temple bells, creating an almost musical tapestry that enveloped me. As I wandered further into the heart of Kyoto, the sound of traditional shamisen music wafted through the air, drawing me towards a small courtyard where two musicians performed under the canopy of maple trees. The lilting notes seemed to transcend language, speaking directly to my soul. Yet, amidst this beauty, I felt a flicker of anxiety. The language barrier loomed like an imposing wall. Although I had studied a few basic phrases, nothing could prepare me for the rapid-fire conversations that flowed around me. I often found myself standing in line at a convenience store, heart racing, desperately trying to decipher menu items and signs. The characters seemed to swirl in front of my eyes, both fascinating and frustrating. On one particularly challenging day, I attempted to order a simple bento box. My confidence wavered as I spoke to the cashier, stumbling over my words. Their kind smile didn't ease my embarrassment. Instead, it made me more conscious of my struggles to communicate. In Osaka, the culinary scene welcomed me with open arms, yet even here, I faced an array of new experiences tinged with trepidation. The first time I stepped foot into a vibrant izakaya, the tantalizing smells enveloped me: grilled meat, savory broth, and something sweet and sticky that I couldn't quite identify. I hesitated at the entrance, feeling out of place among the laughter and camaraderie that filled the room. But my curiosity prevailed, and I pushed through the doors. I marveled at the way locals reveled over their food, each dish a celebration of flavor and community. As my eyes scoured the menu, I felt a pang of loneliness. There was a distinct difference in culture that made me feel like an outsider. I watched as friends clinked glasses, sharing stories and laughter, while I sat alone, wondering if I would ever find that connection. I ordered a plate of takoyaki, the little octopus balls that had been recommended by a friendly stranger earlier. When the dish arrived, I could barely contain my excitement, yet the anxiety quickly returned as I realized I had no idea how to eat them properly. Watching others, I noticed they expertly navigated their chopsticks with grace. My attempts felt clumsy in comparison, and I couldn't help but feel small in that moment. The taste of takoyaki was a revelation, warm and savory, each bite bursting with flavor. I could feel my initial apprehension dissolving as I savored each morsel, realizing that food, in all its forms, was a language unto itself. With each taste, my confidence grew, and I started to smile more at the locals, nodding in appreciation for their shared culinary art. Gradually, I learned to embrace the discomfort, reminding myself that every awkward moment was simply a step towards understanding this culture that fascinated me. The excitement of Kyoto was mirrored in Osaka's energy. The streets pulsed with life, and each market stall offered a new scent that triggered vivid memories. The strong aroma of takoyaki drifted through the air, blending with the sweetness of mochi and the fiery scent of grilled yakitori. I wandered through the Dotonbori district, awash in neon lights and chatter, the vibrant atmosphere dizzying yet exhilarating. I tried my best to speak with vendors, gesturing widely when words failed me, and laughter often erupted as we navigated through the maze of mistranslations. Adapting to the local culture proved to be a delightful challenge. I learned the importance of bowing, the subtleties of politeness embedded in every interaction, and the ritual of removing my shoes before entering homes and certain establishments. Slowly, I began to uncover the nuances of this beautiful land. The way the Japanese cherish nature, their attention to detail, and their kindness in the mundane interactions of daily life. Each day, my confidence grew along with my ability to observe and appreciate the cultural intricacies that once felt foreign and intimidating. I encountered days of solitude that were challenging to navigate. On one particularly quiet morning, I ventured into a serene Zen garden in Kyoto, hoping to find solace. As I raked the gravel, creating gentle waves, I allowed my mind to drift. The stillness provided a perfect backdrop to confront my worries. Beneath the cherry trees, I pondered how loneliness often accompanied growth and self-discovery. It became clear that these trips forced me to confront my insecurities and embrace vulnerability, teaching me that extending a hand often resulted in newfound friendships. One afternoon, while exploring a small local cafe, I decided to strike up a conversation with a fellow traveler. She was from California, and we shared a mutual sense of dislocation. Our discussion flowed effortlessly, and I found myself laughing at the shared struggles of navigating this beautiful yet challenging land. That connection, albeit brief, served as a reminder that even in the vastness of a foreign city, kinship could emerge amidst the discomfort. With every passing day in Kyoto and Osaka, I began to feel more at home, even amidst the language barriers and cultural differences. I embraced the discomfort of dining alone, finding joy in savoring each dish rather than being confined to my insecurities. I learned to appreciate the quiet moments of solitude, reflecting on how these experiences allowed me to grow beyond what I once believed possible. As I packed my bags to leave, a bittersweet emotion washed over me. I was excited about the adventures that lay ahead, but I also felt grateful for the lessons I had learned in Japan. I had ventured far outside my comfort zone, facing my fears and navigating the beauty and chaos of this remarkable place. The challenge had transformed into a deep appreciation for the culture, the people, and the ways they illuminated the world around me. As I boarded my flight, I took one last look at the distant outline of Kyoto's temples, vowing to return one day. With a heart full of memories and a newfound sense of resilience, I embarked on my journey, ready to discover the next chapter of my adventure. In the end, it was not just the places I visited or the foods I tasted. It was the growth, the challenges, and the connections made along the way that enriched my experience immeasurably. As I stepped off the Shinkansen at Kyoto Station, the bustling energy of Japan's ancient capital enveloped me. The first thing that struck me was the fusion of traditional and modern architecture. The station itself was a marvel, with its immense glass and steel structure. As I left the station, I felt a mix of excitement and tranquility, eager to explore the city's rich heritage. I decided to visit Kinkakuji, known as the Golden Pavilion, early in the morning to avoid the crowds. As I approached the temple, beams of sunlight danced on its gold leaf exterior, creating an ethereal glow that reflected beautifully in the surrounding pond. The serene gardens, meticulously maintained, invited me to wander along the paths and take in the profound silence that enveloped the place. The iconic sight of the golden structure framed by lush greenery and the brilliant blue sky left me awestruck. Next, I made my way to Gion, the famed geisha district. Each narrow alleyway was steeped in history, with traditional wooden machiya houses lining the streets. The faint sound of shamisen music drifted from distant tea houses as I strolled, feeling as if I'd stepped back in time. I was lucky enough to catch glimpses of Geico and Maiko hurrying to their appointments, their colorful kimonos and elaborate hairstyles capturing the essence of traditional Japanese culture. I stopped by a small tea house for matcha and wagashi, savoring the delicate flavors while soaking up the charming atmosphere of the district. I felt compelled to see the iconic Fushimi Inari Station next, famous for its thousands of vermilion torii gates. The climb through the wooded hills took some effort, but every step was rewarded with views of the city and glimpses of fox statues, which are believed to be the messengers of Inari, the deity the shrine honors. Walking through the tunnels of torii gates was like entering a realm of tranquility, each gate instilling a sense of reverence. I lost track of time as I wandered through the pathways, enveloped by the beauty of the sacred site and the gentle rustle of leaves. After a few days in Kyoto, I headed to Osaka, just a short train ride away. I found the city's energy vastly different than Kyoto's. Osaka buzzed with life and modernity. My first stop was Osaka Castle, a stunning historical landmark surrounded by expansive parkland. The castle's impressive structure, nestled among cherry blossoms, offered an excellent backdrop for photos. Inside, the museum chronicled Osaka's history, and I marveled at the ornate armor and artifacts on display. Climbing to the top of the castle, I was rewarded with panoramic views of the Osaka skyline, a breathtaking juxtaposition of the ancient and modern. Dotonbori was next on my itinerary, with its neon lights and vibrant street life. The moment I stepped into this lively district, I was captivated by the aromas wafting from street food stalls. I couldn't resist trying takoyaki, crispy balls filled with diced octopus, and okonomiyaki, a savory pancake unique to this region. I sat on a small stool at a street vendor, enjoying my meal while watching the hustle and bustle around me. The Glico Man sign, an iconic part of Dotonbori, illuminated the night sky, and I joined the throngs of tourists snapping pictures against its dazzling backdrop. Despite the famous attractions, I sought to explore areas off the beaten path and stumbled upon Nakazakicho, a quaint neighborhood known for its retro charm and artistic vibe. Walking through its narrow streets, I admired the vintage shops, cozy cafes, and local art galleries. I discovered a tiny coffee shop where an elderly barista skillfully prepared pour-over coffee. The warm atmosphere and delicious brew made for a perfect afternoon respite. I decided to visit the Osaka Museum of History, where I immersed myself in the city's past. The exhibits were engaging, with life-size dioramas and multimedia presentations that brought historical events to life. One exhibit featured a replica of a traditional merchant's house, giving me insight into the life of Osaka's early commerce. As I gazed out of the museum's observation deck, I was struck by the juxtaposition of old and new architecture, a testament to Osaka's evolving identity over the centuries. No trip to Osaka would be complete without experiencing Universal Studios Japan. I was excited to immerse myself in the world of my favorite movies. The wizarding world of Harry Potter was mesmerizing. As I walked through the gates, I felt as if I had truly entered Hogwarts. I sipped on butterbeer and explored Hogsmeade, taking delight in all the magical details. The thrill rides were exhilarating, and I quickly found myself smiling ear to ear. My time in Kyoto and Osaka was filled with remarkable experiences. Each location held its unique charm, from the tranquility of ancient temples to the lively streets vibrant with modern life. I couldn't help but appreciate the harmony between Japan's past and present in every corner I ventured. Each moment spent in these beautiful cities left an indelible mark on my heart, and I walked away with memories that I would cherish forever. The sun dipped low in the sky as I boarded the bus, the vibrant colors of sunset painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink. I clutched my backpack tightly, filled with the essentials for my journey. I had always found solace in the rhythm of travel, yet this time it felt different. Each bump in the road was a reminder of the uncertainties that lay ahead. The hum of the bus engine was drowned out by my racing thoughts. Would I find what I was looking for? As the bus wound its way through the city, I glanced out the window, watching the world blur by. The urban landscape was a fusion of towering buildings and vibrant street art, each corner telling a story. I felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension as I thought about the friends I hoped to meet along the way and the dangers that lingered in the shadows of this new adventure. My destination was a festival known for bringing people from all walks of life together. It was supposed to be a celebration of art and culture, but deep down, I also saw it as a chance to connect with someone who might understand my struggles. On the bus, I noticed a girl seated 2 rows ahead of me. She had fiery red hair and a charm that seemed infectious. She laughed with friends, their voices filled with joy, and I felt an urge to join them, to escape the cocoon of my isolation. When we finally arrived at the festival grounds, the crowd surged like a tidal wave, pulling me in with its energy. I took a deep breath, trying to quell the nerves that threatened to overwhelm me. The thrumming bass of music resonated in my chest as I stepped into the vibrant chaos. Flashes of color danced around me. The scent of street food wafted through the air, making my stomach grumble in anticipation. I wandered through the maze of booths, my heart racing with the thrill of discovery. Each artist displayed a piece of their soul, and I was captivated. But in this sea of strangers, I felt an undercurrent of anxiety. What if no one wanted to talk to me? What if I was invisible? Just as I contemplated retreating to the safety of solitude, I found myself gravitating towards a small, makeshift stage where a spoken-word artist was captivating the audience with raw emotion. I could feel the weight of her words resonating within me, echoing my own thoughts and feelings of longing and loneliness. That moment sparked a fire inside. I needed to share my story too. With newfound determination, I approached a group of people lounging near the stage. They welcomed me with open smiles, and just like that, I was swept into their camaraderie. Among them was the red-haired girl I had spotted on the bus. Her name was Maya, and she had a passion for photography that radiated from her every word. We exchanged stories, laughing over shared experiences and bonding over our mutual fears. But as the night wore on, amid the revelry, an unsettling feeling crept in. The festival grounds were sprawling, and I began to notice a group of rowdy individuals lurking at the edge of the crowd. Their loud laughter felt menacing, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Caution prickled at the back of my mind. Maya noticed my unease and leaned in close. "Are you okay?" Her concern was palpable, and I realized then how much I appreciated the connection we had forged. I hesitated, wanting to share my fears, but feeling the weight of vulnerability pressing down. "I'm just feeling a bit overwhelmed. This place is huge, and I don't want to get lost in it, literally or figuratively," I confessed. She smiled reassuringly. "We can stick together. It's easier to face things when you're not alone." Her words wrapped around me like a warm blanket, anchoring me in a moment that could have spiraled into panic. We decided to stay close, weaving through the crowd's ebbs and flows together. As we laughed and shared stories, I noticed that it was easy to forget the danger lurking at the periphery. Just as we were beginning to relax, a sudden commotion rose from nearby. Shouts echoed, and the crowd parted like a curtain. Instinctively, I grabbed Maya's arm, our connection grounding me as tension pulled at my insides. This was where the darker side of adventure whispered in my ear, teasing the possibility of danger. We maneuvered closer to the source of the noise, curious yet cautious. A group of people was arguing vehemently, a stark contrast to the joy surrounding us. The energy shifted, and a palpable fear rippled through the crowd as some backed away. I felt my heart race, not from excitement, but from the realization of vulnerability. Maya squeezed my hand, her grip firm and reassuring. "Let's get out of here," she said, and without question, I followed her lead, weaving through the throng to escape the brewing storm. Once we found refuge beneath a tree away from the chaos, I let out a shaky breath. My heart was still pounding, but the shared silence between us felt comforting. I learned more about her over the next few hours. Maya had once faced her own fears in an unfamiliar city, and she relayed tales of her adventures with a spark in her eye. I was captivated and inspired by her bravery. Each story resonated with my own fears, and it felt as though our souls were weaving together in a tapestry of shared experiences. The festival resumed around us, vibrant and alive, and as we observed the laughter and joy of the people dancing, I realized how much I had changed in just a few short hours. Yes, there was danger, but there was also beauty, connection, and the sheer unpredictability of life that made it all worthwhile. As the evening sky darkened and lights twinkled like stars around us, I felt a surge of hope. Each unexpected challenge had only ignited the drive within me to continue exploring, to connect, and to be brave. It wasn't just about finding friends. It was about facing fears and discovering resilience. I turned to Maya, the girl who had unknowingly become a beacon of light in my journey through uncertainty. "Thank you for being here," I said earnestly, feeling an overwhelming sense of gratitude. "Thank you for sharing this experience with me," she replied, her eyes sparkling with sincerity. The festival continued, a whirl of laughter and music, and while the night had presented its share of challenges, I knew that these moments of connection were the true essence of my adventure. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with newfound friends by my side, I felt emboldened. Together, we could face whatever came next. Once upon a time, during a warm autumn in Kyoto, I found myself wandering through the ancient streets, surrounded by the vibrant colors of maple leaves. It was my first visit to Japan, and the beauty of the city was overwhelming. As I strolled through the historic districts of Gion and Higashiyama, I felt a sense of wonder and excitement. Kyoto was a place where time seemed to stand still, where the past mingled effortlessly with the present. One afternoon, while admiring the stunning Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion, I was approached by a local man named Hiroshi. He struck up a conversation, and we quickly bonded over our shared interests in art and culture. Hiroshi was an artist himself, specializing in traditional Japanese ink painting. He offered to show me some hidden gems of Kyoto, places off the beaten path that were unknown to most tourists. Intrigued, I accepted his invitation. Our exploration began at the Philosopher's Path, a scenic walkway lined with cherry trees and quaint little cafes. As we walked, Hiroshi shared stories about the nearby temples and shrines, each steeped in history and tradition. We visited the tranquil Nanzenji Temple, where the sound of running water and the gentle rustling of leaves created a serene atmosphere. I felt a sense of peace wash over me as we meditated in the temple's garden, a moment that opened my eyes to the beauty of stillness. As our friendship deepened, Hiroshi invited me to his studio in a secluded part of the city. It was a modest space, filled with his paintings and tools. He offered to teach me the art of ink painting, a request that both thrilled and intimidated me. I had never considered myself an artist, but something about his passion and enthusiasm inspired me to give it a try. For the next few days, I immersed myself in this unique form of expression, learning to flow with the brush and let my emotions guide my hand. Meanwhile, my adventure didn't end in Kyoto. After a week, I traveled to Osaka, a bustling metropolis known for its modern architecture and vibrant street food scene. As I wandered through Dotonbori, the neon lights and the tantalizing smell of takoyaki filled the air. I found myself drawn to the lively atmosphere, filled with laughter and energy. In Osaka, I discovered a different side of Japan. I tried new dishes and experienced the local culture in a way that was exhilarating. One evening, while savoring delicious street food, I met a group of locals who invited me to their gathering at a nearby izakaya. Surrounded by laughter, we shared food and drinks, and they introduced me to the fascinating world of Japanese karaoke. Their warmth and hospitality left a lasting impression on me, and that night, I felt a sense of belonging and connection to a culture that was so far from my own. As my trip unfolded, I also faced challenges that tested my resolve. While exploring the Osaka castle, I got lost in the maze of gardens surrounding it. Initially overwhelmed, I took a deep breath and decided to explore rather than panic. This unforeseen detour led me to a beautiful, hidden tea house where I was welcomed by an elderly woman who gracefully served me matcha and shared stories of her life. This unexpected encounter reminded me that sometimes the best moments arise from the unforeseen. The final leg of my journey took me back to Kyoto, where I participated in a traditional tea ceremony hosted by Hiroshi. The ceremony was a meditative experience. As I whisked the matcha, I felt a profound sense of connection to the moment and the people around me. Each sip of tea reminded me of the beauty and simplicity and the importance of mindfulness in everyday life. As I prepared to leave Japan, I reflected on how this journey had transformed my perspective. I had learned to embrace uncertainty, appreciate the present, and find beauty in every little moment. My time spent with Hiroshi, the warmth of the locals in Osaka, and the undulating landscapes of Kyoto had changed me in ways I could never have anticipated. However, just as I was saying my goodbyes, Hiroshi handed me a small package. Inside was a beautiful ink painting he had created specifically for me, capturing the essence of our time together. At the bottom, there was an inscription, "To new adventures." With a smile, he hinted at a future journey he had planned, a place I had never considered visiting. The mystical landscapes of Hokkaido, where the mountains meet the sea. I left Japan with a full heart and an open mind, ready for whatever the future held. Little did I know that my next adventure would challenge me even further, pushing the boundaries of comfort and igniting a fire within me to explore beyond my wildest dreams.